There are some young people who always feel angry with life. They are not only angry with their circumstances, but also angry with everything around them, always seething inside. That anger not only hurts themselves, but also affects the people around them. When I look back at that time, I wonder, how can we control this anger? How can we tame that negative emotion? What causes this endless anger? I don't dare claim to have all the answers, but over the years, I've learned that sometimes anger comes from unresolved pain, from pressures and unfulfilled expectations. Sometimes it's our response to injustice or the challenges life presents. When I realized that anger comes from the same place and that all of us who struggle with anger are there for the same reasons. We are all trying to deal with our own struggles, pressures, and pains. But through my journey, I have discovered a few things that might help you. I can share with you my experience and what helped me get through those angry moments, so you can decide for yourself whether these things apply to you or not. If they help you, that is my greatest joy. First, something that we often overlook that I found out and that helped me a lot is diet. When I had a lot of problems with my blood pressure and it was not under control, I realized that diet plays a very important role. In the past, I used to eat irregularly, consuming a lot of processed and nutritionally poor foods. This not only affected my physical health, but also negatively impacted my mental health. I often felt tired, irritable, and easily angered. But when I started changing my diet, something amazing happened. I focused more on eating healthy, consuming more green vegetables, fruits, and fresh foods. I limited sugar, salt, and unhealthy foods. After a short time, I felt my body gradually become healthier. My mind also became more comfortable and pleasant. The anger gradually disappeared, replaced by calmness and better control of emotions. Diet is just one of the factors that helped me overcome my temper. The important thing is that we must always be patient, listen to our bodies, and find what is right for us. Life in this frozen land is not easy. Every day I have to face harsh challenges from nature and hardships in my soul. I have a volcano of anger inside me, always ready to explode. My beloved wife, who has always been there for me and knows my every beat, knows when that volcano is about to erupt. She can tell by her husband's every gesture, every word. One day, during a harsh winter, I worked at a feed store. The cold air made me even more irritable. I felt like the world was on my shoulders. Everything around me seemed to be a source of endless anger. I couldn't control it anymore and felt that this was really not normal. I couldn't live like this forever. When I felt I couldn't take it anymore, I decided to find a solution. Across the street from the store was a pharmacy, and in a moment of desperation, I decided to cross the street to check my blood pressure. I had never checked it before, but my instinct told me that this could be the cause of my uncontrollable anger. Entering the pharmacy, I met a young man I often saw at church. This young man worked as a pharmacist. The result of my blood pressure test shocked everyone. 230 over 190. The pharmacist advised me to go to the hospital immediately. That's when I realized that the anger was not only coming from the mind, but also from the body being under too much pressure. My wife, who has always been into health, later did some research and found out that gut health is closely related to mental health. She said that if I don't control my diet, if I consume too much sugar and unhealthy foods, it will affect my temperament and spirit. Determined to change, I started paying attention to my diet. I reduced sugar, salt, and unhealthy foods. I focused on nutritious meals full of green vegetables and fresh fruits. After a short time, I noticed a clear change. My body became healthier. My mind was more relaxed and pleasant. The anger gradually disappeared, replaced by calmness and better control of emotions. That day, I realized that healthcare is not only about protecting the body, but also protecting the soul. And it was his determination and change from within that helped him find balance in life. I hope that my story will be an inspiration for those who are struggling with anger and difficulties in life. Start with small changes, because sometimes small things can make a big difference. After I started taking control of my diet, I realized that the next necessary step was exercise. During my neck rehabilitation, I went to a gym in Alaska. It was the only one my therapist would recommend, and it became my regular. However, working out there was not easy. The gym was mostly treadmills and a few weight racks. Whenever I tried to use the equipment, there were usually groups of young people sitting around chatting and not actually working out. I didn't want to bother them or make them feel uncomfortable, so I started looking for another gym. By chance, I discovered another gym south of town called the Iron Sanctuary. It was a special place owned by a former military man who was a professional weightlifter. It was geared toward police, firefighters, and military, and had a strong, aggressive vibe. When I walked into the Iron Sanctuary, I immediately felt a different atmosphere. There was no modern exercise equipment, no big TV screens, just rudimentary weightlifting equipment and determined people. I met the owner, who told me about the hardships he had gone through in the military, about his comrades who had committed suicide because they couldn't handle the pressure. He said that this gym, Iron Sanctuary, is where he survived and got through his darkest moments. He believes that exercise is not only about physical training, but also a way to release mental and emotional burdens. The weightlifting exercises, the barbell presses, not only help my body stay healthy, but also help me release the pressure in my heart, help me find peace in my soul. Every morning when I walk into the Iron Sanctuary, I feel like I am entering a sacred place. The sweat dripping on the floor, the muscle pain after each exercise, all are manifestations of perseverance and determination. I no longer feel angry like before. The anger gradually disappears with each lift. My wife, who is always interested in and researching health, was right when she said that exercise is an important part of improving mental health. Thanks to the Iron Sanctuary, I have found peace, found myself again. And I know that if you're struggling with negative emotions, starting to exercise can be an important step to finding balance and happiness in your life. But that wasn't enough. I realized that exercise wasn't limited to the gym. On tough days, when things got tough, I would take my horse out and ride through the fields. The feeling of the wind in my hair, the beat of the wilderness beneath my feet, made my mind clear and light. Sometimes I would climb on my mountain bike, ride through challenging trails, or simply hike through dense forests. These activities made me sweat, tired physically, but purified mentally. I remember one time I was visiting a friend. He had an old lawn mower in his yard, bought at a yard sale for only $70. If I accidentally broke it, he would probably just laugh and call me an idiot. But if he owned a 2024 Ford F450 King Ranch and I wrecked it, he'd be pissed. The difference is in the value we place on things. This also applies to ourselves. When we do not value our health and well-being, we easily neglect and do not take care of them. But when we realize the true value of ourselves, we will take care of and protect them with dedication. My wife, who is always interested in and researching health, was right when she said that exercise is an important part of improving mental health. Through the Iron Sanctuary and my horseback riding and cycling trips, I have found peace and myself again. And I know that if you're struggling with negative emotions, starting to exercise and appreciate yourself can be an important step to finding balance and happiness in your life. It's a fact that some of us take ourselves too seriously. When I was a kid, adults used to say, "If I could buy you for what you're worth and sell you for what you think you're worth, I'd make a fortune." That statement made me think a lot about the true value of each person. In life, we often get caught up in measuring ourselves against external standards such as career success, wealth, or fame. But sometimes this causes us to forget that our true worth lies not in material things or recognition from others, but in self-awareness and self-love. When I was young, I also thought that I had to achieve great things to be proud of myself. But when faced with challenges and difficulties, I realized that the true value of each person is not determined by others, but by how we face and overcome those difficulties. Looking back at my story of exercising and controlling my blood pressure, I understand that my self-worth is not about how much weight I can lift or how fast I can run, but about my perseverance and determination to change myself to become healthier and happier. The sweat dripping on the gym floor, the muscle pain after each workout, all are proof of my constant effort and hard work. Just like when I take my horse out for a ride through the fields or ride my bike through challenging trails, I realize that each of us has value in our own way. It is important that we value and love ourselves, knowing how to care for and protect our mental and physical health. And if you are also feeling lost or insecure about yourself, remember that your worth is not determined by others. Take the time to understand yourself, find out what you love and pursue it persistently. Appreciate your own efforts because that is what is truly valuable. It is true and sad that there are many people out there who are going through a really hard time because they do not value themselves at all. They do not see any value in themselves, and this makes them lose their way in life. However, there are others who value themselves too much. They live in an illusion of self-worth without realizing the reality. I remember a time when I was in a spiral of low self-esteem and anger. I didn't value myself and felt worthless. Everything around me was just a pressure that weighed me down, making it hard to breathe. It was in those moments that I realized I needed to change, not only for myself, but for the people around me. The process of controlling my diet and exercising has helped me a lot. But more importantly, I have learned to see my true worth, not in the big achievements, but in the daily efforts to become better. I have started to learn to love myself, not through the eyes of others, but through self-awareness and gratitude for what I have achieved. During that journey, I realized that there are many people who are also struggling with low self-esteem and lack of confidence. They do not see their worth and feel lost in life. This is really sad because each of us has our own value and we all deserve to be loved and appreciated. On the other hand, there are also people who live in illusions about their own worth. They overestimate themselves, live in arrogance, and lack humility. This is also another form of being lost because they do not see reality and do not know how to appreciate the little things in life. In life, there are people who do not see their own value. They are lost and drowned in self-pity. They go through their days without realizing that they are precious and worthy of love. Every day that passes is just a series of sadness and disappointment. On the other hand, there are also people who think they are everything, that they are so special that when someone does something that they feel offended, they get angry. This anger comes from their overvaluing themselves, not accepting that the world does not revolve around them. I used to be like that. When I was younger, I used to think too highly of myself, thinking that everything had to go my way. And if someone did something that I felt was offensive, I would explode in anger. I remember walking down the street with my wife, Deanna Noel. If someone attacked her verbally, I would not hesitate to turn it into a physical incident. She was the most precious thing to me, and anyone who challenged that was met with my wrath. I shared this in a video once and got mixed reactions. Some people said my actions were not in line with the spirit of Christianity, but the truth is, I value my wife more than anything in this world, and if someone hurts her, I will protect her at all costs. However, over time, I have realized that taking ourselves and our loved ones too seriously sometimes causes us to lose our balance. We easily get hurt and angry over small things. We need to sit back and reevaluate our values and what is truly important in life. Adjusting my self-perception was not easy, but as I started to control my diet, exercise, and find my true values, I realized that life is full of small, precious things that we often overlook. One time, I heard the squeak of a mouse kicking my green bucket. The squeak was small but full of life, reminding me that life is full of lovely surprises. We need to be humble, love ourselves, and cherish every moment. Finally, I understand that the value of each person is not determined by others, but by how we perceive and appreciate ourselves. Let's know how to balance between loving ourselves and respecting others. When we do that, we will find true peace and happiness in life. One time, when I got on my horse, pulled it out of the stable and prepared it for a ride, I realized that life is not all about me. Seeing the troubles and difficulties of others, I realized that my problems are nothing compared to theirs. This sobered me up and helped me not to get caught up in unnecessary stress. Life is a war, and you can't win a battle if you don't keep your cool. You can't teach a horse to handle a challenge if you lose control. You can't have a successful conversation with your spouse if you can't be rational and rational. You can't raise your children properly if you can't keep your cool and control your emotions. And you can't succeed in business if you let stress and anger rule you. It's not something you can change overnight. I'm of Scottish and Irish descent, and genetics may play a part, but we don't need to let genetics control our lives. Staying calm, being clear-headed, and appreciating the true value of yourself and others is the key to overcoming any hardship and finding true happiness. Life is full of challenges, and one of the biggest challenges I have faced is controlling my temper. I have struggled with this a lot, and I have come to realize that there are things we can control and things we cannot. What matters is how we react and deal with what we cannot control. First, I changed my diet, and that helped a lot. Second, I started to be more active. Horseback riding, walking, and exercise helped me relieve stress and bring me peace. But most importantly, I had to reevaluate my personal values. I realized that I was protecting things that weren't worth it, and sometimes I was so focused on myself that I didn't see the value in others. I remember when I first started working with horses. My wife Deanna and I spent a lot of time training them. One of my students brought the horse out, and we began the training process. At first, the horse was reluctant, but we patiently, step by step, showed him how to open the gate. At first, he was very scared and wouldn't go to the gate, but step by step, piece by piece, we helped him overcome his fear. Just like that horse, I had to learn to control my temper step by step. I realized that controlling emotions doesn't happen overnight. You can't become Yoda in a day, but you can be a little better today than you were yesterday. You can start changing the things you did yesterday. My journey has not been easy. There were days when I felt like I was fighting the world, but I knew that I had to control my temper if I wanted to find happiness and peace. I had to step back, reassess what was important, and reframe my view of myself and the world around me. This applies not just to horse training or improving my health, but to every aspect of life. You can't have a successful conversation with your spouse if you can't stay calm and clear. You can't raise your children well if you can't control your emotions, and you can't succeed in business if you let stress and anger rule you. The first few days after I started making changes, Deanna noticed the difference. She said I was handling things much better than I had 3 years ago. If you start working on yourself today, in the next 6 months, you will be further along the path to peace and happiness. You will be calmer, more clear-headed, and have a clearer view of yourself. We all have big elephants in our lives that need to be eaten one bite at a time. My temper used to be a big elephant, and I knew that if I didn't control it, it would cause suffering to myself and those around me. But step by step, I learned to control and improve myself. Start with the small things. Eat healthier today, go for a walk, chop wood, sit back and look at yourself. Realize that you're not all there is and start working on becoming a better version of yourself. If you can't control your temper, you're worthless. But if you can control and improve, you will find true peace and happiness in life. Our lives and those around us are on the brink, stirred by negative emotions and anger. This only makes life more difficult for everyone. So, hopefully, my story and experiences can be of some help to you. Today, I sat down to enjoy an Oliva V Liga Especial. Oliva has many different cigars, but I like this Liga Especial. It is complex, medium-bodied, but it is exceptionally satisfying every time I smoke it. This morning, as I reached for a cigar, I thought it was the perfect choice for a new day full of challenges, but also full of opportunities. Sometimes enjoying something as simple as a cigar can help us calm down and reflect on our journey. It is not always easy, but each day we can strive to be a little better than we were yesterday. If we are not moving forward, we are moving backward. None of us are perfect, but we can strive to be better every day. Remember that life is a never-ending journey. Keep moving forward no matter how difficult it is. Be calm, be patient, and appreciate your true worth and the worth of others. Just one small step each day will take us further on the path to finding peace